What's going on, my lovely people? You know what time it is. It's time to get judgment free with NB3 once again. Back with another episode. Now, this one, I mean, all of these episodes really, you know, hits deep for me. But for this month, it's going to be topic of serenity, and it's very special to me because one of my favorite prayers is the serenity prayer, and I keep it printed all around me. You know, everywhere I go, t-shirts, everything, right? Because that has helped me, especially in this last, I would say, at least 5 years, at least. I'm probably being nice, but at least 5 years to where it has gotten me through a lot of tough times in life. And so the serenity prayer, it reads, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Now that's real huge, y'all. Y'all never really dissected that prayer, like, because a lot of humans get it flip flop, right? They focus on the things that they cannot change, and they don't change the things that they can, right? So that's why you got to really hone in on that prayer, because it's guiding you and telling you to accept the things you can't change, but also at the same time have the courage to change the things you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference between the two, right? Because a lot of us, we blur the lines and we get into this, woe is me, oh, it's not my fault, oh, they did this, or why me, right? So I made it a point to keep that serenity prayer around me, right? Because even though it's not a lot of words, it's not a full blown scripture, right, in the Bible or whatever, but it is enough to give you direction on how to handle situations. All right. So one in particular, I mean, if y'all been following me, you know, you should know. You should know that the situation with my daughters is like the biggest cloud over my head, right? And and I'll continue to talk about this after, because just part of my life, my journey, right? And it's not easy, but at the same time, you know, it's real. Okay. So when the last time I saw my daughters, well, physically, to touch, hug, kiss, hold, the last time I was able to do that was April 9th of 2022. Okay, it was spring break for them. I had them for the spring break. So then the last time I physically saw them with my eyes, right, was December 2nd, 2022. Okay, it was a therapy meeting or whatever. We had to meet up, right? And the last time I talked to them, like on the phone, had word exchange of words with them, right, was May 29th, 2024. Okay. I mention these things because throughout the month of July, I've had some interesting encounters with you know, some nieces, right? And I say that because they're not nieces by a relative or by blood, but you have people in your life that you consider brothers and sisters, right? Their children become your niece, right? So yes, I had some very interesting encounters with my nieces that I didn't know it was going to happen. It wasn't planned, it wasn't contrived, anything like that, right? So I'm gonna loop this into the serenity prayer and how I was able to capitalize and be present in the moment because of it, right? So one of my encounters with my nieces, right? They came to visit from Mississippi for the Fourth. So, and I've never met her before, right? This is my first time meeting her, but they're friends or cousins of my niece, for my sister-in-law, right? So she got to asking about the military, because my wife had the Marine shirt on, when she was down there cooking. And my wife was like, no, my husband, he was in the Marines, 20 years. So I talked to her about what questions about the military and what got her interest and stuff, right? So and she is the age group of my daughters, right? My oldest is 14, and I got a 12-year-old. My youngest is 11, right? So she's within that age group of my daughters, right? So I went over there and talked to her, and we was talking about military and just life in general. But y'all know how I do. We're not going to do small talk. It's going to be meaningful, right? So I started asking her thought provoking questions, and out of nowhere she got emotional, right, and started crying. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I'm like, "No, it's okay," But a light bulb went off with me and was like, "Well, if me just asking her direct questions and thought provoking questions, if they got her emotional, that means probably that she's not used to being talked to like that or being poured into, right?" And and the fact that she didn't know that I had, hadn't seen or heard from my daughters in a while. So is it that connection right there that allowed me to one be present with her and pour into her, regardless of what I don't have or I feel I'm missing out, right? I was able to, connect with her on a real level about life and military and future, right? So I mean, she was in middle school, so it wasn't like she can join the military tomorrow, next year, right? But it was the interesting fact that she was thinking about it, she was talking about it, it was on her mind to think about future and down the line. So it was just ironic that those are the type of conversations that I be wanting to have with my daughters, right now as they're going through the adolescent years and middle school, So it was just it was really calming to have that moment, right? Because of course God knows us all. He knows what we lack, what we're good at, right? So he understands and knows the void that I have inside of me when it comes to my daughters, right? So I look at it as though like, him sending down, signs and situations to where I will be able to fulfill that void in a sense, right? At the same time, understanding my situation and seeing how I'm letting my situation affect me when it comes to real time, real life situations that are right in front of me, right? So I looked at it as a test, of course. We're always gonna be tested in life. That's just how it is, as far as I'm concerned. So nothing is by chance or by coincidence. I truly believe that wholeheartedly. So yeah, and then we definitely connected and told a little bit about myself, right, my background, right, just so she know where I'm coming from, so she knows that I'm real and that I'm genuine, right. So, but you can tell what people are used to, what they're not used to, right. So, I knew then, okay, yeah, she's not used to this, and she really appreciated it because um, she didn't let me forget to, you know, give her like a book to like help her with her journey, stuff like that. So she reminded me. I told her a couple of days before, like, don't leave without me, and that's also a sign too because she reminded me. I didn't have to chase her down or hey. She was like, hey, Uncle Nelson, like, don't forget. So I was like, okay, yeah. But that's how you know when people starving for, to be poured into or to be recognized or to be, attention, positive attention, right? So that's how I knew, But again, I didn't let the situation of my daughters ruin or sour that moment, right? I gave her my best at that particular moment because that's the only thing I know how to do at this point, right? So the serenity prayer was always in the back of my mind. Every time I go through a situation or face something new, or it could be something that's old, that's festering, I have that in the back pocket at all times, you know. So that was one, right? Everything come in threes, right? So that was one. So my next encounter was when my niece she lived in Tennessee, but she reached out to me, about basketball and about confidence level and not sure what to do, you know, and feel about certain things as, she go through, the high school years. And she sent me a long, long message, and I was like, well, I'm gonna call you because, this is just too much to be going back and forth on text messages. And of course, when you text messages people, things can get lost in translation. You can't decipher tone, delivery, or nothing like that, or even jokes. So I ended up having a call with her, and we talked about a good hour or so, and we're just building her up, giving her the confidence, and showing her about and teaching her about self-awareness when it comes to self-confidence, right? Because it starts with self. There's nobody outside of you that's going to give you confidence. It starts with self, right? So we talked, and got information on how she felt, how she was feeling, and then on top of that, gave her scenarios of how I felt like that, low self-esteem and low confidence while I was in the Marine Corps, right? At certain parts of my career, right? So everything's always going to correlate, right? So I'm going to give her, or whoever I'm talking to, real scenarios of when I felt like that or when I went through that, and gave you real things that I did, not anything I heard, stuff that I actually done, and it actually worked for me. So we ran through that as far as how to build yourself up, how to accept self, how to acknowledge self, right? Because all this stuff starts with self-discipline, self-esteem, self-confidence, right? Self, me, I, right? So I made sure I had to drill that down, because even if you do an awesome job and you don't get recognized, did you still do an awesome job? And see, that's the question. That's the question. So it's very important to look within self. Whatever and any issue you may have, look within self first. So that was the premise of that conversation with my niece on that front, right? And again, she's still within the age group of my actual daughters, right? So again, that was another void that was able to be filled in that moment. At the same time, I was able to give her my best, right? Coaching, mentoring, counselorship, whatever you want to call it. I was able to give her my best at that particular moment, despite my situation, despite what I can do for my own daughters, right? So again, back to the serenity prayer, right? Have the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, and the courage to change the things you can. So I was able to affect and change that situation, or that you know situation at that particular moment right there, right? So yeah, it's definitely has been fulfilling. And again, didn't know I was going to have these encounters this month, right? And the void is always going to be there, right? I mean, not being able to see and talk to my daughters, right? But also, I'm able to pour into somebody else's kids, right? And although it could be bittersweet, right, when you think about it, when you say it, because like I have my own kids, but it's like I have other people's kids that are looking to me, that are calling upon me, that are, seeking counsel and willing to listen and willing to, but at the same time I have my own, right? So it can get, or feel like bittersweet, right? But again, the serenity prayer is what makes me level out and not think about the what ifs and I'm missing this more than what's right in front of me and what can I affect right now. Okay. So that was huge. Right. And then for the the third kind of this one is probably the most craziest one here, in my opinion. But so at church, I've been going to church for the last 4 or 5 months now, the Gospel Hill Baptist Church. So we met a family that has a 1-year-old daughter, and apparently she don't really mess with a lot of people, right? When it comes to being with them and them holding her and stuff like that, right? So these last 2 Sundays, I've had the privilege to where she will allow me to hold her, not only just hold her, but hold her throughout the whole service. She even takes a nap, in the middle of the service, and she's calm, right? I mean, she sees her parents, but she don't be, wilding out or crashing out for them like, like a lot of babies would do, or, infants do, right? So it was just soothing the fact that, like, my babies, they big now, but, to hold, you know, and to be calm, and they just chill, and, they feel safe, and they feel, the comfort, like, that was invigorating, like, to say the least, because like, it took her months to, like, I guess, warm up to me, because she would see me and she was giving me this look like, but she wouldn't take her eyes off me, right? But she would just look, that stare, right? So, and then like I said, a few Sundays ago, she was like, "Oh, I guess I give him a try, and boom, right up in here, you know what I'm saying? She chilling, watching service, clapping and stuff, and then she throws off, you know what I'm saying? Little quick cat nap, and then the next Sunday, same thing. So the difference was, this Sunday was like, I actually like kind of reached my hands out to see if she's gonna come. She looked and was like, "Hi." So I was like, "Oh man, okay, all right, it is." So that was definitely a good feeling. Again, same thing. She, she lived more active this go round, right? She kind of stand up a little bit more, clapping and stuff, and she ended up dozing off and, coming back to. But yeah, apparently she doesn't do that with nobody besides the parents. And so my wife was like, "I guess you just a baby whisperer, huh?" I guess so, but of course, she's one, so she don't know about my story or what voice I have or whatnot, or what I've been through. But it just goes to show, though, like, God don't be playing. God, he understands. He's paying attention. You can't hide from him. But he knew my heart. He knew, like, man, like, I be feeling sorrow just, as the days go by. But he put my nieces in my life in those particular moments to, like, I guess, to soothe me or to let me know it's gonna be all right. You're doing a good job, or whatever the message is supposed to be. But, or you still him? I don't know, but but it was just like, man, like, that was some good encounters that I was not expecting, that I didn't force, that I didn't pre-plan, right? But it's let you know how God works, and He's not to be questioned, because I know I fought it for a long time, right? But that's where the serenity prayer came in to play for me. And I keep it all around me to remind me, because I have to remind myself that, certain things I just cannot change. And the things I can change, I better change. I better have the courage to change, because then I have no right to complain about what is and what was and what could be and what should be, right? So, and then the wisdom to know the difference, right? So that is very, 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 very important. Very important, because without that, I don't know how would I be doing emotionally, mentally, psychologically. It's like, say, I'm not heavy into the religion, right? But I'm very spiritual, right? So I do understand how that works, and how that can be a benefit if you're paying attention, have discernment, of course, right? All these different things that come along with, just living life and experience. So, but yeah, my nieces definitely, and they probably don't know it, but they definitely held me down this month, and they definitely have invigorated me to, I guess, again, keep fighting and keep pushing, right, and not to doubt my abilities, not to doubt myself, not to doubt how I'm handling things, how I'm going about things, like, and stuff like that. And again, it's little things, right? To them, it's probably like, okay, we had a conversation, okay, you helped me, okay, yeah, you talked about life, you know what I'm saying? But to me, it's everything. You know what I'm saying? It's everything to me. So it just depends on, the perspective of who's, watching, outside looking in, inside looking out. But that was major for me. That was major for me. So definitely excited to see, what life brings, especially as I'm going into my first semester of my master's program. I keep talking about it because I'm so excited, right? So I got my books, what I'm saying? They came in the mail, what I'm saying? So I'm ready. I'm ready, man. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. So, but that was definitely uh, a good month kick off, as we go into this next season, right? So, but for those who ain't familiar with the Serenity Prayer, get on it. It's the real deal. It's short and sweet, and it'll give you guidance and direction on how to handle, certain stuff. All right. So yeah, but yeah. So that's my, you know, I guess theme for the month. I felt really good. I ain't gonna lie. And of course, dealing with my step kids, it still gives me the right head space to deal with them and coach them, as much as I can when they allow me to, even though mine's not around, right? So it's an everyday thing, right? But with the niece stories, with my nieces, that was more of a special, like, situation scenario, right? But my stepkids that's constant. So I can't be shut off to the world or to them because of my situation, right? So the Serenity Prayer is always active in me every single day, every single day. So, but yeah, so hopefully that helped somebody. Hopefully that spoke to somebody, it touched somebody, and just understand I'm going through it too, right? I'm just brave enough to talk about it and put it out there, right? But the boy's going through it too. So yeah, with that, I gotta get my promotions in. Of course, you know how I do. I'm saying with the intellectual power, intellectualpower.net. Go ahead, try it. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. Good, all natural. And then my man Zoe Williams, Shroud Lighthouse. Now, with that, I had the honor to call into his radio show, KBLA 1580. It's in LA, right? But I was able to call, it's a Voice of Reason show. I think about 3 times this month, right? The first time. And again, some heavy topics. And I was able to really unload and show clear, right? Yeah, it's on the radio, and other people can hear it. I don't know who heard me or whatever, but I actually called in, and it was definitely refreshing as well, on top of my niece encounters that we talked about, right, with the Serenity Prayer. So all that comes to a factor when it comes to, being on a platform to talk about yourself and about, your dealings, and not about what nobody did to you or what nobody who fault it was. It's about you and why and how, right? So this book will help you with that shadow work to get inside and not be afraid. Well, not be afraid to do the work. It can be scary, but to not be afraid to do the work. Okay. And I said, I'm still working on this quantum psychology. Big bro Zoe, he recommended this book, so still working on this book. Yes, yeah. This is crazy, yeah, to say the least. And then my big sister Ali, right? The science of self, right? So good workbook. Again, it's all this is the common denominator is self work, right? Not what they did to you work, not what they should have did to you work. It's about self work. What I need to do work. When I'm going to do work, right? So all these products, it helps with self. All right. So that's why I promote it, because I stand by, I use it. So to better myself every single day. Right. So at the end of the day, you is all you got. So if you don't love yourself, you don't pour into yourself, you don't, elevate yourself, then who else will? Right. And why would they want to if you're not trying to do it? So don't sell yourself short. Okay. And like I always say, I can help you, but I can't save you. All right. Love y'all for free. Until next time. Okay. Peace.